Pozo way. And again, I'm a little surprised we're getting a fight out here, but there it is. First blood drawn. Mummy's going to find aim, and again, this is brutal because this isn't like a a well-wanted spot, and we know it. Early kills, yeah, they'll secure your route in, but I mean, you're both going to end up in pieces, and really, you're not going to get information on the circle. You're coming in late. This is very tough to watch go down.
Looks like Momo is actually getting in the vehicle to try and pull back to the rest of the roster. They don't want to lose any more players. And necessarily, if another team pulls up above them in that broken compound, well, it's pretty much a GG. They're in open water, so they have to retreat eventually. The smokes are now being committed, and it's something like that where you'll question, yep, the smokes, you need to put it down. You need to allow Danimon to be able to get away from that fight and survive. But the problem is now you're committing utility, and while it may only be one, thankfully, it's a quick maneuver. They can at least keep the rest of them. Liquid has pulled up SMB directly in front of them. It looks like SMB were actually making the way to this compound, pretty much on the edge of where Liquid's playing. We've seen a few that run up the hillsides, that run off the side of it, but they are playing the numbers game in the fact that they have to hope it swings this way. mxey was hoping that wasn't going to be swinging his way, going down while he's looking for a place to call home. It's not the best start of the world for Team Liquid, losing a player.
At this point, we have to wait to see where the circle updates to. This could define a hell of a lot between these teams. That southern band is already looking very busy. Let's see where this updates to. Okay, a little north, but again, there's still plenty of playable area. But I'm looking at that kind of west side of Cruz de Valle. Like, this is going to get pretty busy if teams keep going towards BBL, because they're not afraid to kind of, as I said, take a couple of fights here and there. ENCE already very pre-established. This side, this portion, is a lot of the early teams, right? You're looking at ENCE, you're looking at BBL, you've got a QM out there as well. A lot of these teams are already in this position, so they've got great scouting information. They know where the rotations will be coming from. They're happy in their compounds. This area to come into is going to be so harsh.
It definitely throws a little bit of a spanner in the works if you are banking on that, southwesterly kind of approach, what we spoke about towards the start of it. Tony Mawada, yes, it is a stone's throw away from this center. We have to assume and keep now assuming that it's going to pull further towards the south. A lot of teams are forced to move this one, and the land will be limited. While you can go and stay stationary and maybe even be secure towards the northern side and northern portion of the circle, eventually we have to assume that it moves down, which then in turn puts pressure on you, the positions you're going to take up, the positions that teams are going to be holding now, the priority compounds. You alluded to it at the very start. We have a very, very stacked central circle currently. DA, Gear Up, BBL, Vanir, ENCE in a 2-2. Like, ENCE have been super greedy. It can be one of those where you say, well, you're getting towards this middle part now. If a full team pulls up, you're kind of dead. But with the compounds that they're holding, they have a little bit of an advantage on people pulling up. They'll be able to get a few frags off before they go down, maybe even give as good as they're getting. A very long rotation. It carries on going a little bit towards the north. Cruz de Valle now looking actually quite comfortable for a fair amount of people. ENCE's 2-2 becomes so good. Now they can meet up, regroup, and take control of a very, very stable compound. Navi will shift a little bit towards the south. Decent compound for those. SMB look like they could look just looking onwards of that. They've had to stay their feet. Right now, a few vehicles were behind to try and push into that Navi compound, and now they'll have to control a large amount of ground. The good side to that is that they could potentially go for a big old land grab and deny a lot of teams access to this circle. They do have to be careful in the fact that you can't bite off more than what you can chew. If you want to take that big amount of area, you're going to have to spread all the players out, and by doing so, you put yourself up against the numbers. Gear Up, it's a bit of a straight blast and hope for the best of it.
Yeah.
There is so many teams already situated directly within Cruz. If a random nade finds and strikes, then maybe there's some point of movement, but ultimately, I think you're in here until the late game. Like, why else would you try and run out from this? This is just going to be everyone arguing amongst themselves until there's only one team left.
I mean, you got to get what you're given. I was a bit worried about Beamy's knock here because it's not in the compound. I thought that might have been a shot from Gear Up through a window, like we're kind of seeing here. I thought it was going to be a little bit of maybe just a nice little pick-off, but him being outside of compound could have been bigger problems. But Heroic seemingly not getting attention from any of the teams on the southeast, so they're actually going to probably get that res, maybe shuffle on in. They should be okay, but Gear Up is keeping them watched. Now, a team I want to keep my eyes on, again, it's going to be hard to keep them away, is VP. They're in the south, circle moves north. They go to the west, circle moves east. They have had a really rough time, so they are fighting against the odds. Let's have a little watch back of this one. This Exhalation, yeah, big punish on clib there, just silhouetting up on that big ridge line, just being noted. Now, Liquid are on the move. Again, similar form. They are following VP's footsteps, but everyone's already paid attention to VP going this way, but where do they enter from this side? I'd say yes, Norway Armada is a little more sparse of players. They are playing that slower or quieter side of the circle. Absolutely viable. But there are still teams lingering around here. This isn't an easy way in. There is maybe 3-4 teams already in the side, but FaZe are in trouble of their own. They have a couple of problems. Supermassive Blaze are on the other side of this, and Gustav already found out why. Now problems start to begin. Now, does FaZe have maybe a springboard to get back in? I don't know if they do. Vex a little further away in the open. Punished again. Supermassive Blaze just destroying them. And Fuzzface hasn't even had time to get this res. He's still got the nade trying to maybe dissuade Huth from making that push. Nade now comes out. Fuzzface is on red alert, but actually, they just didn't account for him. Fuzzface literally gets away with murder. Unseen, unnoted, and then the nade as well that he was going to just pop down towards probably Vex to get the flush. And somehow FaZe get away with it. I don't know how. They are not in absolute dire straits. Now, Apocalypse trying to make a push off this one, and this could be big. Nice nade comes out. VP just wiped Liquid. We saw them over towards the north. That's them trying to find their way in. Now, Fuzzface needs to stand, needs to deliver, and he does. Rip9 and Apocalypse get destroyed. Fuzzface is desperately trying to keep these boys alive because, honestly, after the start of that fight, I felt they had no right. SMB had them dead to rights there.
We did say that SMB would have to raise the shields, and they did. They tried to make a stand, but unfortunately, the angle which they took, QM was consistently shooting them in the back. That was the problem. That's the reason they had to take the fight to FaZe. They were in open ground, the cover was not with them, and the angle of which they actually took, QM was just firing bullets all day long. We'll take a quick look back at Liquid's entry, or should I say deny, into the circle. It's a massacre. They go crashing out in 16th position. For FaZe, they'll get themselves back on their feet. They'll be down to 3, I believe. I think we saw one flushed. Yes, they did. Lazar, the last man standing for SMB, will try and do whatever he can on the edge of the circle. Really, I don't know what he can do because a full squadron's firing his way. We'll see Galacticos directly in front of them. FaZe also still to come in from this. There's still some pressure being applied to FaZe. Let's not, you know, kind of forget about that. We have to take note of it. Na'Vi hold a very, very, very strong compound. And they have
you ignoring BBL?
Line of sight. If BBL have,
Look at them! Look at these boys!
They want to get involved with it.
Mate,
that's a central
they are loving it. They can't get more central. Honestly, I thought that was just like the middle of the map marker. No, it's the entirety of BBL sat there. Well, things have just gone from bad to worse, and look at these positions. They've got a nice little ridge line to play off. Aitzy gonna try and make his way up, but it's Fuzzface leading from the front again, still trying to find room, trying to find a way forward for FaZe because they just lost Aitzy, so I think they're down to 2 here.
I'm very surprised Ono went down there. You have to remember, it was his teammate that was shooting into that one individual player, especially with the markers. It showed us that. So the information either wasn't passed or he just completely ignored it with a good old nade onto Fuzzface. This begins to shut it down. The FaZe advancement has been halted. Gustav, the last man standing, Laz is still there. Is he going to be the punishing player after what FaZe have done to the rest of his teammates? For him, it was it'll be a nice piece of resentment if he does get involved with FaZe, or should I say at least
Heroic
Gustav.
on the way.
Wait, he's just standing on the back of it. He's standing on the back.
Heroic
okay,
came over this way. They left Crucivalle and went to the east, to the other side of this fight that we're seeing going on, and they've got absolutely dumpstered. What on earth did Heroic just do? I'm a little baffled. I'm not going to lie to you. Lazar now, last one alive for SMB. Yeah, FaZe are gone. That's no surprise. But look at this here. T-Bone's there. Page is here. They tried to maybe third-party this to try and claim the eastern side. I mean, you've got to get proactive. I get that. Maybe this is why they get those kills. They take very high risk, but also high reward plays. But on the other side, Galacticos, they were busy looking at the FaZe sort of fight that was going down, maybe that SMB fight. And look what appears behind them. It's Heroic. Probably the most bloodlusty team out there. Now, I don't know how this has happened, Rich. VP is still alive. And this seems like somewhat of a miracle at this point.
Followed this circle, or should I say they've the backside of it at least, all to this point. For Heroic, take stock of it. We got, what, 4 teams that were in Crucivalle. We'll see if they're the ones that do survive it out, and this maneuver to get out of there early pays off. Decent shots onto Page. Contact made. Qwizzy should know the information here. Zoom goes down in the kill feed. That's the... Oh, what? Exhalation. That is a big old nade from Jembty and Jeong. The brothers in arms do it again. They're going to push and try and advance on this with one player less standing. These could be the team that makes it out of Crucivalle alive. The Annihilation comes through. They should be able to get the revive. Lazar goes down, so let's keep track of Heroic. If they make it into the next circle above all of the teams that came out of Crucivalle, then it was a job well done. Orm kicks off in the background as well. Perfectix tries to make some sort of an entry point. ENCE, by the way, are pushing towards the circle. BBL are laying down fire into them. They know exactly where they are. But it looks again like ENCE might try and do a bit of a 2-2 to grab more land, but you can see with a tracer fire already, Vanir has made their presence noted. But Vanir has to move away from the safety of the buildings it's residing in.
Now, in my eyes, this is just destruction. I think, yes, maybe Vanir do get the kind of catch-all of teams coming through, but do they then themselves get to escape? Na'Vi can see this, BBL can see this, ENCE can see this. So I feel like this is that final stand, and yes, it may go okay, a nice little underhand nade doesn't quite find it, but the bullets probably will. So the barrel's doing just fine over there, but again, it's all just chipping away at each other, burning through meds, burning through smokes, and by the time they have to leave, they're probably all dead. Now let's see how DA does. Because they're probably the best suited team to maybe make it out of it. Now, ENCE have set up a nice little net around them, and BBL even able to see over the top of that. And as we can see in the feed, VOD's already gone down. It's not looking so great. One knock did come in against them. Now, question mark, this is over in the north. They're already in the circle. They're just fighting over territory at this point. VP off towards the side as well. Rustanmar has found Jembty, and I think we know how this kind of unfolds. DA, I think, are just down a pixel at this point, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm imagining they'll be picked up. Now, Vanir, I want to see how they make that next move forward. Because they're the ones who kind of got away, or at least survived, that massacre of the city. So if they're able to get into a decent position, more power to them. They did better than DA. Pixel's just being melted in the blue, so this one's over and done with. Don't know if he can get the heal off. No, he cannot.
Well, look at
now,
BBL.
with this... Exactly. They're doing... okay. They've got a bit of pressure coming their way. ENCE are in pieces, though, so they can't capitalize yet. They need to get the 2 reses, heal up, and then maybe they can move in. Vanir are doing some damage on this one, though. That's catching my eye. Now, the northern fight still rages on. And it's just like, guys, we're both here. We don't need to take these fights. Just let's be chill. But no one's being chill. VP, I don't know how they're standing either. Keep in mind, they have so little cover really to play with. We do see Tokyo finally go down. So we are into 7 teams here. So let's kind of take stock. BBL have been center circle for so long. Squeaky's nade just found Smash. Now, Na'Vi have started to leave their compound. Na'Vi have been quietly working away in the east, not doing too much, but they're out there, and they'll start making their presence known as they have to get into this open field, this open territory. And already VP on the receiving end here, as I think they've kind of lost that ability to keep control of that northern side as little as they did have. Yeah,
the fan have been shut down, and it's about time, to be fair. They've been holding on for dear life, but they will be extinguished. ENCE have decided to edge forward a little bit. BBL are now at the mercy of 2 teams. The second they try to apply pressure to ENCE, Vanir gets a bit of a sight line onto them in the backside of it. They're all in the vehicles and potentially either going to move or just reposition them to give themselves some form of hard cover. Vanir has... That is a belting shot from Example and kind of shuts down. You needed more off the back of that. If they could have traded off and taken down one of Na'Vi, then maybe there was an angle of approach. Take one down, let the other go for the heal, get them at 50%, and then slam into them. Now, all of a sudden, Vanir is being slowed down. This makes it so much harder because ENCE has repositioned. ENCE has got further thanks to BBL moving in as well. That pressure's now relieved, and all teams, all 3 of them, will just try and gatekeep Vanir into this. QM, all the way the northern circle, it's happy. They're just going to chill for now and do whatever they want. Flamey, the second one will fall, and this starts to become all that much harder because you're up against the blue. There's no time for any kind of revives whatsoever. Maybe they want to have a go for it, but honestly, it's probably not the best situation in the world, given how close to the circle's edge this position actually is. They parked up the vehicles, but they're not in just yet. Tiikzu was the man of the hour between him and Rustanmar last weekend. The marksman really come through and was well and truly worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, they want to clear the southern side because then they can focus on BBL, Na'Vi, the rest, and they have to be quick about it. You don't want to let Vanir stabilize. You don't want to get them back on their feet. And Tiikzu was just pumping damage. Absolutely wild. Flash comes in. I haven't overly pushed on this, so Kino's still alive, gets Hjort back on his feet. And they've actually fallen away from this, so ENCE maybe feeling they've done enough, but I'm pretty sure Yellow can get a res now, but maybe feeling the pressure that BBL could then maybe start looking their way. Maybe that cross isn't as favorable as they imagined. And ENCE have to now respect this. I thought they were going to move across because they were really looking as though they were willing to try and sweep through to clear that more southeastern team. But BBL still going to keep their heads down. They're not being quiet about it, but they're just keeping a little bit more of a patient play towards that more center island of, area that they're holding here. Now, circle updates. Again, it's just Vanir. It's like, are they just the magnet to the circle? It just can't go near them. Just other side, always pinging away. But Na'Vi have a huge amount of vision. Look at the spots they're getting over here. They know exactly where BBL currently reside. They haven't pulled the trigger just yet. There it is, first time. Now, in the meantime, Tiikzu did just take that fight towards the south, going to slow down Vanir's approach, which is going to be a problem. And I want to see if ENCE they still look like they're tentative. They're not sure if they want to push this, if they can push this. They'd love to be able to clear this side out because that's going to be a thorn in their side, a dagger in the back potentially, just to grab them down to the grave before they could maybe move on to the next target. Because in my mind, they'd love to be fighting BBL right now, which they just can't do.
Navi's going to throw a few nukes this way and hope for the best. If they do manage to knock 1 or 2 players from BBL, then they'll push on that. The smoke's already down to make the advancement. Look at alya just creeping through the mist, hoping to get in position. Example, be able to give the information back of where they're residing. Should there be information, be up close and personal, they can get involved, look over the hillside, and away we go. BBL still fixated on Vanir, but the fight is now done. They can turn their attention.
Navi
who
on
do
the
they
doorstep.
fight first? You've got ENCE behind, you've got Navi in front. Who do you go after?
You have to deal with Navi. They are so close. Nades are coming in. ENCE will probably be able to third-party this perfectly. It depends how this goes down. Lovely deep mollies, though, from BBL. Going to make this such a problem to try and peek on. BBL need to make a play, though. They now know they're in trouble. ENCE are right behind them. The Finns are on the heels. Example wants in, doesn't quite get it, but it's Rustanmar with 2 quick kills. And it's on Navi. How BBL managed to keep their heads down just low enough to be avoided by this fight. This is insanity. ENCE just ignoring BBL for now and just punishing these players who are just peeking that ridgeline, seeing them a mile away. Yes, Metralius is down. Mellman's nade did find it. Now ENCE have to know there's a team in between us, and it's BBL of all teams. ENCE are gonna have to move into this. They have to make the push because Navi are just keeping themselves prone. They want no more of this. They just lost 2 players. ENCE have all 4 alive, and BBL are the next target on the horizon. Rustanmar just receives a boatload of damage. Squeaky's just been knocked. Things aren't looking so good. Mert, yes, he'll take some damage, but he can get himself into the smoke, try and get up a heal as quick as he can. But Tiikzu, absolutely unleashed, gonna push himself up. He's got 2 players. That's 1. Needs a second. Gonna get the flush. He knows there's another around here. Tiikzu, how much more can you do? Nothing! Navi from the ridgeline make their appearance and just dash ENCE's hopes and dreams.
This is just a bloodbath. 3 teams pouring into one another. While Mellman's there to try and finish it off with the molly. Mert wants to strike back. Last man standing. How much more can he do with 2 insane fraggers on the side of Navi? This will be no easy feat if he can get up close. He's trying to hit the res. No, opts to go for it. Beautiful little shot towards Mellman. Knocks him. Realizes what's going to come flying around the corner. It's alya with the molly to put it in to try and deny it. Right next to him. And Diggery's there to continue. BBL go out. Does he realize 1 more's left? If he goes towards the side of Navi, he can contain this and keep it controlled. He does have Rustanmar by his side. Be aware, a doozy in the back is taken center circle. QM are getting set up for what's about to come forward because all these teams that are remaining in front of them have had a fair amount of damage. If they can send Fate more towards the north, he can keep track of Hall of Game. By keeping track of them, it leaves a doozy to see what goes on down here. Once they move out from this, if it's 1 or 2 players, it's going to be a GG towards their side.
Rustanmar, how much more can you do from... Oh, he knows he's absolutely screwed in this. Needs some help from maybe Diggery, but look at it. Vest, absolutely shattered helmet in pieces, no more smokes. Question Mark have suddenly just gained the reins of this lobby. Now, I do want to see how Hall of Game approach that player who is isolated. Rustanmar does clear Mellman, so it is just alya now. 3 kills to the Navi side. Beyond that, this doesn't look like it's going to equate to a win for either of these teams. It will probably between Hall of Game and Question Mark, who are over more towards that center side. Unless, I don't know, Diggery and Rustanmar dig real deep. They still know where alya is, but they've got bigger problems. The 2 teams who are just in the north, who are facing off 3v3 on the slightly more northern side.
Rustanmar's done so much damage to Navi. The first initial knocks to basically open this gate up. Flowed out, faultlessly just catches Rustanmar. Finally is put to rest. It's inside the circle, so the revive is possible. I can already see Uri is flanking around them. And it's now well and truly up against it. Alya is actually getting behind QM. If they don't realize this, if they're not read it, it's a rather open position. He has a very small hill that he can bank off of. What he needs is Hall of Game not to get involved with him, just to leave him alone. If he's left alone, then he can strike when the time's perfect. In the meanwhile, ENCE actually managed to get the revive. Hall of Game are actually holding more ground than anyone at the moment. They've spread out. Eventually, the blue will stop it, but it's the same principle for everybody else.
Let's see what utility they have. Oh, alya still being a problem to ENCE out of all the teams. So Yuri does find alya. Hall of Game still racking up a couple of bodies. Rustanmar barely alive. He has been called off. We're down to 2. Hall of Game and question mark. Now, positionally, no smokes left on a doozy. Vests are broken for Hall of Game. You can see they're both at the very end of their utility. They don't have a great deal to work with. So it's odds and ends. It's whatever they can muster together. A couple of flashes, bits and pieces, a deep molly here and there, but it's not the smokes. It's not the wall of Molotovs coming down to deny them. They're just being pressured closer and closer. Good tags on one. There's the follow-up trade. Fate unable to find it. Aduzi has to get the deck. Spray comes in. That's lovely work. Hall of Game now actually might try and work off the back of this. It looks like they might. Flash comes out from Godrilla and they're going to be trying to move on up on this. And yeah, backs to the blue. Aduzi, the last one alive. He's going to have such a task on his hands. A 1v3? No way. Not a chance. Wait. He's going to find one but 10 HP. Tries to get a quick heal, but the Blues going to be pushing him. He's just trying to live and he can no longer do it. Hall of Game.